Okay, picture this for a second. You're standing on the sidelines of a football pitch. The game is, it's messy, it's loud, but someone describes it to you like this: flamenco and bullfighting on the football field. Passionate, emotional, and with a touch of magic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful image, isn't it?
It is.
It just perfectly captures that romantic ideal we all have of Spanish football.
It really does. It makes you think of the grand stages, right? The Santiago Bernabeu, the Camp Nou,
El
Clásico.
Big stuff.
Exactly. When we think of Spain, we think of the tip of the iceberg, the billion-euro squads and the global superstars. But today, we are completely ignoring that part.
Which is good because, frankly, the tip of the iceberg gets more than enough coverage.
I agree. So today, we're putting on our scuba gear. We are diving all the way down to the bottom to see what is actually holding that iceberg up.
We're exploring the basement of Spanish football, specifically the amateur leagues of Catalonia.
And basement kind of implies it's dark and dusty.
Right, but as we'll see, it's actually a massive living ecosystem.
Yeah.
The mission for this deep dive is really to understand what happens when you strip away all the TV money and the fame. I mean, what's left?
Well, what's left is surprising. I came into this expecting, a few stories about Sunday kickabouts, but what we found in the research is a hyper-organized machine, a massive structural crisis hiding in plain sight, and this really cool social rebellion where fans are literally stitching their own jerseys.
It's a microcosm of the whole country, really. So where should we start digging?
We have to start with the scale, because I think most people, and I include myself in this, have a very simplified view of football hierarchy.
Yeah.
You've got the first division, the second division, and then just the abyss, the amateur void.
Right. But that abyss is, it's actually a very crowded place. If you really want to visualize the Spanish league system properly, don't think of a podium. You have to think of like a 10-story building.
10 stories. That is a tall building for a sport.
It is. And the top two floors, La Liga and the Segunda Division, that's the penthouse. That is the professional game we all see on TV.
Okay, so that's the luxury suites.
Right. Then you go down to floors 3, 4, and 5. This is the semi-professional tier, overseen by the Royal Federation.
Yeah.
So you've got the Primera, Segunda, and Tercera Federación.
And these are national or at least interregional leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time you even get to floor 5, the Tercera Federation, you're already deep in the weeds. We're talking hundreds of teams across the country.
Oh, absolutely. But at floor 6, the elevator, it sort of stops. This is where you drop off the national map entirely and enter the regional amateur leagues.
Okay.
In Spain, every single region handles its own basement. And in Catalonia, floors 6 through 10 are their own self-contained universe.
And reading through the notes, this isn't just a throw everyone in a pot and let them play situation. They've actually added new floors recently.
They have. Back in 2023, the Catalan Football Federation created the Lliga Elite, or the Elite League, at level 6.
Which, it feels a bit ironic, calling the 6th division elite.
Yeah, it sounds funny, I know, but the logic is actually sound. They realized the jump from the regional amateur leagues up to the national semi-pro leagues it was too steep.
Right, it's a huge leap.
A huge leap. Clubs were getting promoted and then immediately crashing.
Going bankrupt or just getting relegated right away.
Exactly, because they just weren't ready for it. So the Lliga Elite acts as a kind of finishing school to prepare these amateur clubs for the more professional structure.
A buffer zone. I like that. So below that finishing school, you have the Primera, Segunda, Tercera, and Quarta Catalana, levels 7 all the way down to 10.
Correct.
Okay, so I want to play a little game with you and with you listening. Let's try and guess the sheer volume here. We are talking about just one region, Catalonia. If we look at those specific regional leagues levels 6 through 10, how many teams are we talking about?
Well, in a standard regional setup, you might expect, what, maybe 150, 200 teams?
You would think, but this is Catalonia. The answer is 864 teams.
That is just a staggering number.
864 teams. And that's organized into 59 different subgroups. And if you include the big clubs, the semi-pros, the youth setups, you're looking at nearly 1,000 active clubs in just one province.
I mean, to put that in perspective, that is more organized football clubs in one Spanish region than exist in the entire national systems of some smaller European countries.
It's just mind-blowing density. It means practically every village, every neighborhood, every couple of blocks has a team in the hierarchy somewhere.
And while Catalonia is the biggest example, This isn't unique to them. You see this in Madrid, Valencia, Galicia. They all have these deep, deep pyramids. Football's just woven into the geography of the country.
Okay, now here's where my skepticism really kicked in while I was reading the sources. When you tell me there are nearly 1,000 amateur teams, my brain immediately goes to administrative nightmare.
Uh-huh.
I'm picturing lost clipboards, referees showing up to the wrong field, schedules written on the back of napkins.
It's a Sunday league stereotype,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Exactly. But the reality described here is, well, it's completely different. It says the system works like a Swiss watch.
Or perhaps a Catalan watch.
Right.
The organization is centralized through the Catalan Football Federation, the FCF.
Yeah.
And their digital infrastructure is, honestly, it's better than what I've seen in some multinational corporations.
The source material had this great line. It compared this cosmic level of organization to typical government bureaucracies where paperwork just grows moss.
A vivid description. But here, there's no loss. The system is digital. It's live. They aren't just tracking the big matches. They track everything. Futsal, women's football, youth leagues, all of it.
The detail that really got me was the foresight in scheduling. You can apparently look up a match time for the Cora Catalana, the absolute bottom, level 10 for a date in May, even if you're checking it in October.
That's right. Schedules are locked in months and months in advance, and the post-match transparency is immediate.
Immediate as in, what, a day later?
As in, by Sunday evening, the match protocols, the results, the goal scorers, even the suspension lists are all uploaded to the public database.
So if a guy gets a red card in the 10th division on a Sunday afternoon, his aunt knows about it by dinner time.
The whole world knows about it.
Yeah.
It's total transparency. And I think there is a deeper meaning to that efficiency.
How so?
Well, it's about dignity. By treating the data so professionally, the Federation is telling the carpenter or the student or the baker playing on that pitch that their effort matters.
Mm-hmm.
It respects the player and the fan. It says, you might not be getting paid millions, but your competition is real and it deserves to be recorded properly.
I love that. It validates the passion. But, and here's the twist in our story. Despite this beautiful, well-oiled machine, and despite this massive army of players, there is a serious problem bubbling under the surface.
Yes. This is what we call the Girona Mirage.
The Girona Mirage. It sounds like a thriller movie title, but we're talking about Girona FC, the club that recently had that just incredible run to the Champions League.
Correct. And if you only read the headlines, you would think Catalan football is in a golden age. You have Barcelona, obviously, and now you have Girona playing against the best in Europe. It looks like a huge success.
But then we have this article by Marc Mosul titled, Girona's Success Hides the Disaster of Catalan Football. I mean, that is not a subtle headline.
No, it is not. And it points to a paradox. Girona is described as an oasis in the desert because while they are, partying in the Champions League, the middle class of Catalan football is dying.
And when we say middle class, who are we talking about?
We mean those historic clubs that usually sit in the second or third national tiers.
Okay.
Clubs like Sabadell, Andorra, and Cornellà. They have all suffered recent relegations. I mean, they're dropping like stones.
So the penthouse is full, the basement is packed, but the middle floors are just collapsing.
Exactly. And the statistics highlight a massive inefficiency here. Catalonia has about 200,000 licensed football players. That represents 16% of all the players in Spain.
Okay, so logically, you'd expect them to make up about, 16% of the professional teams?
You'd think so, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
But in the top 3 national tiers of Spanish football, Catalan teams only make up 7.3% of the representation. They have only 6 teams out of 82 spots.
Wow. That is a huge underperformance relative to the talent pool. You have the most players, but you can't get teams to stay in the national leagues. Why? Is it just bad management?
Well, the local critics argue it's structural. They say the system is rigged against them at the bottleneck point, the promotion from the regional leagues to the national ones.
This brings us back to that 10-story building. Getting from floor 6 to floor 5 is the problem.
Precisely. The National Federation, the RFEF, divides the country into groups for promotion. But they generally treat the regions as equal administrative units, regardless of, population.
I think I see where this is going.
So Catalonia, with its 200,000 players and nearly 1,000 clubs, gets one group in the Tercera RFEF, which means there are very few promotion spots available.
And a smaller region.
Let's say a region with only 20,000 players. They also get one group.
So statistically, it's 10 times harder for a Catalan team to break out of the basement than it is for a team from a smaller region.
That's the complaint. It's a bottleneck. You have all these high-quality teams in Catalonia basically cannibalizing each other because there is only one door out of the room.
And what is the proposed solution? Just build another door.
Essentially, the proposal is that Catalonia should have two groups, or maybe that smaller regions should play pre-qualifiers, similar to how UEFA handles the Champions League for smaller nations.
That seems like a pretty logical fix.
It does. But the Federation's stance has been that the organization is untouchable. Although, interestingly, the source notes that the region of Andalusia was granted two groups, so the precedent exists, which just makes the frustration in Catalonia even more palpable.
So you have a situation where the path to the top is blocked, or at least severely jammed, and the professional game is becoming more corporate, more expensive, and just harder to reach.
Right.
So what happens to all that energy? If the fans and the clubs can't move up, where do they go?
They pivot. And this is my favorite part of this whole deep dive. We are seeing a cultural shift, a rebellion, really, of what's being called popular football.
This isn't just people deciding to watch lower league games to be, hipster, is it?
No, it's much more sincere than that. As the professional game pushes fans away with high-ticket prices and, weird kickoff times for TV, fans are returning to the local mud. They're realizing that the football in their own backyard offers something the Champions League can't. A real connection.
The notes mention that local derbies, like the one between Sant Andreu and Europa in Barcelona, are literally paralyzing neighborhoods.
Breaking attendance records. And it's happening in Tarragona, Lleida, Iolat. People are choosing to be present.
There's one story in here that I absolutely loved. It's about a club called UE Sant Andreu and a campaign they ran called Costers, or Stitches.
Ah, yes, this is a brilliant case study.
So set the scene for us. We all know how expensive football kits are these days. You walk into a club shop and you're dropping 90, 100 euros for a polyester shirt.
Which prices out a lot of normal families. And Sant Andreu is from a working-class neighborhood. Their spokesperson, Gerard Alvarez, said something very profound. He said, "No one should put a price on passion."
No one should put a price on passion. I love that. So how did they solve the problem?
They didn't just lower the price, they completely reimagined the concept of what a kit even is. They opened a pop-up shop in a local mall and they told their fans, bring us anything.
Anything.
Any piece of clothing you already own. A denim jacket, an old hoodie, a dress, a vest. Bring it in. And the club would embroider the official UE Sant Andreu crest, your name, and a number on it. For free.
That is just genius. I mean, think about what that does to the psychology of merchandising. Usually, the club dictates your identity. Here's the uniform. You wear it to look like us.
Exactly. This completely flips it. It says, you bring your identity, your favorite jacket, your own style, and we will add our badge to you. It implies that the badge belongs to the people, not to the store.
And there's a historical layer to this, too, right?
There is. Sant Andreu was historically a textile worker town. So the physical act of sewing, of stitching the crest on, it connects the club right back to the grandmothers and grandfathers who worked in those mills. It anchors the club in the specific reality of its neighborhood.
I have to ask, did it work? Or was it just a cool art project that lost money?
Oh, it worked. The response was immediate. They had over 1,600 season tickets renewed in just 48 hours. They hit 3,500 total members. For a team playing in the fourth tier, those are numbers that some second division teams would kill for.
It feels like they're building a tribe rather than just a customer base.
That's the key distinction. A customer leaves when the price is too high or the product on the field is bad. A tribe member stays because the club is part of who they are.
There was one other detail about this rebellion that felt like a direct challenge to the Giants. The Copa Catalunya.
Yes. This is where the scheduling conflicts come in. The Copa Catalunya matches, they often get scheduled on the same days and times as the Champions League.
Which sounds like a death sentence for viewership. You're asking a local fan to choose between watching, I don't know, Real Madrid or Man City on TV, or standing in the cold to watch a regional cup match.
Normally, yes. But these local clubs, they decided to fight back by making entry free. They basically said, come support your neighbors. And the result was, people showed up.
They chose the live experience.
They chose the tangible over the televised. It proves that the product of football isn't just the skill level of the players. If it were, we'd only ever watch the top 10 teams in the world. The product is the atmosphere, the belonging, the physical presence. You can't download that.
That's a really powerful lesson. So let's try to tie all these threads together. We started with this massive structure, the 10-story building.
A building with a very, very crowded basement. 864 teams in Catalonia alone, all managed by a system that predicts the future better than most airlines.
Then we saw the crack in the building, the Girona Mirage. The system is so crowded that the middle class is getting crushed by a bottleneck at the exit.
A bottleneck that many people feel is politically unfair.
And finally, the reaction. Because the elevator is broken, the people in the basement decided to redecorate. We have the rise of popular football, the San Andre model, where fans are literally sewing the team into the fabric of their own lives.
It's a story of resilience. I mean, football's like water. If you block it in one direction, it finds another path. In this case, the energy is flowing away from the corporate structure and back into the community roots.
It really makes me wonder about the future. We always assume the future of sports is more global, more expensive, more Super League. But do you think we might be seeing a split?
I think we are. As the elite game kind of floats away into the stratosphere of billionaires and state funds, the gap between the TV game and the matchday game is just going to widen.
So maybe the future isn't about choosing one or the other. Maybe you watch the Champions League on your phone for the spectacle, but your heart and your physical presence belongs to the club that embroiders your old denim jacket.
It's entirely possible. The Sant Andre model isn't just a nice story, it's a survival strategy. It turns out, if you treat fans like participants rather than ATMs, they stick around.
That is a fascinating thought to leave us with. The basement isn't just where you store the junk, it's where the foundation is actually built.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for taking us down the elevator today.
My pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you on the next one.